Good morning and welcome to Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition. Governance and politics as well as policy is our area of focus. I'll be alone today and my co-host Shalon Kalimbla won't be with me, but together with you, our dear viewers, we'll run up to the hour of 9 with our breakfast show. Today we have a fully packed program for you as usual, and just now we go to our first segment we call the morning booster so that we can get flexing our muscles. Keep it on Camnet.
Hello. It's your boy Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy, and I'm saying happy festival season to you. And we are here again at Chon's Fitness Gym in Kablonga in conjunction with the Camnet TV. And guys, today I am going to take you in two variation of deadlift. Apparently we have three variation of deadlift. So now here you can just perform two types of deadlift. Okay, so first I'm going to start with this usual one, the conventional one, like the most popular. So this one, I'm sure in my previous video you saw it. Chin part of your body, chin body has to be close to the bar. Then your hand has to be outside the legs. Then you hold it nicely. Then pull it up. And then, as usual, the ending part is the core as well as the glutes. So this is the conventional type of deadlifts. Okay, so this was the conventional type of deadlift. So I'm going to show you another one. So this one is called the sumo deadlift. So the sumo deadlift, stand wide, then instead of your arms to be outside the legs, now they are inside the legs. And the conventional one, you are doing to pull down the bar using your back. So now this one, you are using your legs. So it's more like a squat. So you bend all the way. Then so remember, when you go up, the chest has to be out. Oh, that's all for today. You've been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy. Remember, it's about your health, and we are here at Chon's Fitness Gym in Kablonga. Say bye-bye.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko. That was our first segment we call the Morning Booster, where we get to exercise early in the morning. You know, as we always say, it is important that you keep fit because we have an escalation of non-communicable diseases that are really affecting us as a country and world over. Talking about cases such as heart diseases, diabetes, and others. So we need to make sure that we keep fit by ensuring that we exercise. You can do that every time, especially in the morning. You can do a jog or some workouts that are flexible, that are not straining you before you go for work. Or equally, you can wait for us on the Camnet Breakfast Show and be able to exercise alongside the fitness puppy. It will be always important to also look at how they are recommending some exercises or some drills, because these drills need to be performed accurately. If you do not do that, sometimes they may cause serious injuries. So we have to make sure that we do it right. And now we go straight to our next segment we call the Health Corner, with the doctor to help us understand issues pertaining to diabetes. She's talking about complications around diabetes. So let's get to listen to that health advice. I will be back on the other side.
Hi, welcome to the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV. I am Dr. Nakbianam Fire. This week we are talking about diabetes, and yesterday we talked about how diabetes can be managed and how it's diagnosed in the hospital. So we say that diabetes, when you have diabetes, you need to be tested at the hospital on more than one occasion to be able to ascertain for sure that you have diabetes. And once you have been diagnosed with diabetes, diabetes can be treated but not cured. So you'll be given some medications that you have to take at home, and you have to take them continuously without stopping. Also, you need to be able to eat right. So you will not only be taking your medication, but also eating the right diet. So you need to be able to work with a dietitian who will be able to guide you on what you eat and what not to eat and how to eat. So the other thing that we mentioned yesterday was that you need to be active to be able to sensitize your muscles to take up glucose from your body. So today we're going to talk about some of the complications of diabetes. Diabetes has so many complications. Some of them are acute and some are more on the chronic side. So some would happen instantly, others would take a long period of time for them to happen. So some of the acute complications would be things like diabetic ketoacidosis. And this is a condition where your body has got so much ketones, you feel sick basically. You have symptoms of being very weak, and you become dehydrated. So this condition is mostly managed in the hospital, and you'll be given some medication for it. So the other complications happen over time. They happen on a longer period of time, and they usually affect the blood vessels. So your blood vessels become affected, and it can affect both the large blood vessels and the smaller blood vessels. So when the smaller blood vessels are affected, some organs become affected, and these include the eyes. So you have eye problems, and sometimes people with diabetes might end up becoming blind. So it's important that you control your blood sugar to be able to prevent some of these complications. The other complication is that your kidneys become affected. And when your kidneys are affected, you end up having high blood pressure, you end up having other complications of swelling in the legs and the feet, and you can even have chronic kidney disease and the complications that come with chronic kidney disease. So that is on the when the smaller blood vessels are affected. So what happens then when the larger blood vessels are affected? Some organs in the body also become affected, like your heart, for example. You end up having heart disease, you can have heart attack because of uncontrolled blood sugar and on a long period of time, for a long period of time. So other organs affected include the brain. You can have a stroke because of uncontrolled blood sugar that has affected your blood vessels in the brain. You can also have peripheral artery disease, and this is a disease that causes a problem in your arteries, especially in your legs. And so when that happens, it means there isn't enough blood circulating to your legs, and so you end up having complications of having foot diseases and having sores in their feet that are not healing because of insufficient blood going to those areas. So you end up having diseases, or you end up having sores basically in your feet, and this can even lead to you having an amputation, because if the ulcer or the sore is not healing in the foot, then it will have to be removed from the body. So these are some of the complications that come about because of diabetes. The other complication, major complication that diabetic patients would have is that they have neuropathy. So the nerves in the body become affected. And sometimes they might present as feelings of needle pricks in the legs, because the nerves in the legs are damaged, or even any other part of the body. Any other part of the body can be affected as well. And we'll discuss tomorrow how you can prevent yourself from having diabetes. Yeah. So today we have talked about the complications of diabetes, that diabetes can affect so many organs in the body, including the major organs, including the heart, the brain, the kidneys. It can affect the eyes as well, and your nerves. So be sure to take care of yourself. If you are diabetic, make sure you're taking your medication, make sure you're checking your blood sugar every day, and make sure that you are eating the right types of food to prevent yourself from having these complications. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow again.
Well, there you have it. That was Dr. Nakbiana Mfaya. They are giving us insights on diabetes. Quite an interesting discussion there. I hope you learned one or two things regarding the complications of diabetes. Among the take-homes is that they are acute and chronic complications that come with this condition, as well as if you can also have issues pertaining to nerve problems and kidney problems. And that's some of the complications that come with diabetes. It's quite a delicate disease. However, the doctor will be giving us how you can prevent this particular disease, which she equally indicated that if you cannot cure it, but you can manage it. And if you are educated on how to manage it, you can live a healthy and normal life just like anybody else. But it is not easy. It needs a discipline to just maintain that. But tomorrow, just make sure you tune into the Camnet Breakfast Show and learn how you can actually prevent this condition. Just now, we're going to go to our next segment we call the money market, so that we get to understand how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So let's see how the kwacha is failing. $1 is buying at 18 kwacha 16 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 52 ngwe. The Greater British Pound is buying at 22 kwacha 00 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 43 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 19 kwacha 52 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 90 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 07 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe. Those are your money market, and they do vary from one financial institution to the other. And I hope you know now how the kwacha is performing. In case you want to sponsor our segment on the money market, you can get in touch with our marketing department and get a token business. We have flexible rates in the breakfast show, which can help you become part of this a growing team of Camnet TV and be able to grow your business alongside this station. So now let's also look at some of the stories that are actually making the headlines this morning. We have quite some interesting stories that we are zooming in, and one such story is a story where a 20-year-old woman of Lusaka West is nursing a dog bite wounds alongside her 2-year-old son after the duo was attacked by a pack of dogs on the 24th of December 2022. Speaking to Camnet News, Edith Banda narrates that she was in the neighborhood on the fateful evening when about 3 dogs belonging to their neighbor, a prominent former government official, bite her and the son. So let's cater to listen to this story. We'll be back on the other side.
For almost 3 weeks now, this 2-year-old boy has not been without pain after he was attacked by dogs in Lusaka West. His mother, Edith Banda, explains that on 20th December 2022, she was on the way home from the market after dark when she noticed 3 of her neighbor's dogs, which are normally kept inside the wall fence, out on the streets. Miss Banda narrates that she, however, saw them too late, as they were soon biting her and her 2-year-old son, until a man rushed to the scene and chased the dogs away by hitting them with a large stick.
Mama ndema mina kuna bwera ujamamuna na chimutengo. Ndema mina na bwera na chimutengo abwa vipidi kisha bavatabira mugedi. Ndema mina nafikira nyamula uyu. Ndema mina nanushira manunga. Tichekina ku gate kuti tinapeza gate ya vala. Sababu wafunza ta gate yenzedu open manje yasibukabwa ya valikabwanji na tikasa nonza imilira pamene apa. So ndema mina tina imilira amukonkosha kuja ku gate. Kukonkosha bwanisa kwani ni kuti na tinumu mu next. Ndema mina tina endera kunyumba tinapota afika panga odiva dadiwa bwa bachonga after bachonga dadiwa bwa nyamula mwana after nyamula mwana ndema mnetina bwata bwerera kukombosha twana segureko until now.
Her stepfather Nathan Simfukwe has named the owner of the dogs as Anna Chifungula, a former auditor general whom he alleges has been ignoring the family after the incident, while his daughter and grandson are admitted at the University Teaching Hospital UTH.
So who are these people? What are they? Do they want? They already are in problem. You see, I'm able to. All the money I have, I've just gone and do this. I'm unable to support the school-going kids. We know this is January, but they're there now telling people to say they gave us 7,000. Which 7,000 did they give me? I want them to tell the truth, and I want the owner of the dogs, but choke a puncher. We don't know what is transferring here. This is what I can say.
Her mother, Maureen Simfukwe, has alleged that the family has received no help since 25th December 2022, despite taking the matter to Rosedale Police Post and then Plainview Police Post.
Uja mundu senzo yanga tinankala futi tembegezera paka 10 ya kwani maiti zaista bandi tinava kujya ku hospital uvi funkoperekera bana then wamene mapereka no endo baona maiti zaista bandi so bade wakazi ndio kamba tia ikansi sinsi mpereka pakujya bana uyu mundu aoneka sayanga foni chitani bandi perekani pakujya bana ndimo amene anyamukire neno leti pakujya bana kuno ndimo amene abwirera then abana bwera babwerera futi mubuyo mwaka ine bana mayanga chimozi ati uyu mundu sayanga foni message wakasebenze dokabaka fokola chikwa isadi yabo bati batitandizili tikaenda kujatia uyu mundu sayanga foni maiti zachitabwanjisa tipemba kuti abetandize kuti vatitandizire sacho sapondera masa onekera kuti uyu muntu angatandize akana akamba kuti muzalema kuenda kuli konse ise ndise tiriko ndiso amene tisebenza mu government ndise tiripo muzalema kuenda kulibe vamene nzakusitirani na vana vanu.
Camnet News will continue to follow the story as calls made to the accused as well as the Zambia police to get more information on the matter were unfruitful by end of day. The family is demanding justice over the incident that occurred. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, there you have it, quite an interesting community story there by Zipporah Mshala. And it reminds me of how the police are working. I think this family is complaining that they did not work, they did not do enough to help them. I know probably the owners may have claimed to say the dogs are vaccinated, but also look at the dogs that to go outside the yard and harm these people, and they haven't received any attention from the owners. Well, it speaks to the issues pertaining to justice and how justice hardly favor the poor. And probably, I hope something will be done to make sure that this family is safeguarded. But you, our dear viewers, can give us your perspective on this and other matters. We are zooming in on the Camnet Breakfast Show. That's an interesting story that I think needs attention, and we will continue to follow up with the matter with the relevant stakeholders that should be involved in that story. That includes the police, public relations unit, to find out how they have not given any prominence to that report that was made to the police, and also looking at other aspects to do with the people who own the dogs. We'll try to get hold of them to just ensure that we also get their side, because we've been making frantic efforts to ensure that we balance up the story so that we do not seem to favor anyone. We just do it accordingly. In case you want to join the conversation and give us your perspective on this story, you can do so on the number that is on your screen by just giving us a call in the studio. You can equally leave us a message on our Facebook page, Camnet TV Zambia, and be able to share your comment. They do value and they do matter, because at the end of the day, we have a nation to build collectively. And let's also look at the aspect of the topic that we are looking at this morning. Our topic of discussion is focusing on the aspect of addressing what we call the key issues in the energy and agriculture sector. And looking at the agriculture sector, the trending story for this week has been that the price of mini meal has been on an increasing trajectory, and this has annoyed several citizens who have raised the concerns regarding this matter. How much is the price of mini meal fetching in your location? You can give us that perspective. Is that money deemed affordable? It is you to tell us whether you are affording or you are not able to. But let's also look at the economic dynamics. Is this price of this commodity reflective of what should be the case, or is it the mirrors and twisting government? Is it that we don't have sufficient maize for that? Those are some of the stories that have been coming. And we had a story earlier this week where the Millers Association of Zambia was equally saying that its members are not producing as they should in the wake of a load shedding, and they had to cut on production. That has also tended to affect the production of mini meal in the country. That is the perspective of the millers, and we hope that they will also be able to work and conform to the load shedding aspect, whereby they can increase production during the time they are given more power, and vice versa. So we just hope that this mini meal issue will equally be sorted. We've been talking about the energy crisis that is affecting the country at the moment with the 12 hours of load shedding, and you shouldn't be shocked in case you just see a black screen as we are doing our breakfast show. It is the time of load shedding, but we'll immediately switch to the genset, but that is equally quite consumptive, and sometimes the machines just overwork, and that tends to be the routine, especially during this time of load shedding. And let's also look at some other stories that are making the headlines. I'll look at these two stories where All People's Congress Party President Nason Musoni, the member of the UPND Alliance, has urged ZESCO board chairperson Vixon Nkube to respect the Zambian people and step down to allow a competent person to take up the job. It says Mr. Vixon Nkube is a close associate of President Ichilema and not competent to work. And quite an interesting subject there. It says that the 12 hours of load shedding management staggered is affecting people's livelihoods negatively, and ZESCO, for misreading the Zambian the president rather, should be able to. Some officers need to actually resign on moral grounds. So that's what Mr. Musoni is talking about in that clip. And we'll also look at the New Heritage Party Vice President Samuel Kasanka, who has called on Minister of Information and Media Chushi Kasanda to ensure that Zambians are updated on a clear and strategic strategic and information, as well as plans and policies for the country in the year 2023. So let's get to zoom in those two stories. We'll be back on the other side.
We have enough issues already on our plates. If indeed he has decided to take responsibility for misleading the president on two accounts, that there will be no load shedding this year, and the dam is not leaking, or the dam was leaking, please, I don't think Zambians would want to be subject to that drama. Enough load shedding. Load shedding has already caused enough challenges for the majority of our citizens. Do you know what our people are going through by this whole setup? So I think that these are things we talk about. If he has no idea completely about what goes on in that company or utility company, he can do the honorable thing by stepping down so that somebody competent and qualified for the job can take over. Now, when we talk about the dangers of tribalism and nepotism, this is the case of Mr. Vikason Inube, a close associate to the president. Okay? So, when people said he was not fit for the job, this is exactly what they meant. When we say avoid regional appointments, it's things like this that we try to avoid. When we talk about these things, they think we do it out of malice. But we do this for the benefit of our country.
If I had a say over appointments, presidential appointments, I would actually ask the president to revoke that appointment and put in somebody, one who is competent in that area, in the field. That's a field which calls for people that are trained, communication persons, experts. Number two, somebody who is confident and will speak really as if she's speaking on behalf of the government. Now you have confusion in that ministry because you have Chushika Sanda speaking for government. So that ministry is supposed to be a very vital ministry in terms of disseminating information, even in terms of government propaganda. But hey guys, they are sixes and sevens. They're sixes and sevens. Mr. Hichilema will do himself a big favor by putting people who are competent, who are experienced in that portfolio.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. We're zooming in at quite two interesting stories. You too, you can give us your perspective on those two stories that we've zoomed in, and the other story area, in case you want to give us a comment. on the Camnet Breakfast Show. Now, interestingly, there's also another story from the court where former President Edgar Lungu's associate and proprietor of Ndozo Lodges Limited, Krinta Sichembe, has asked the Lusaka Magistrate Court to order the Anti-Corruption Commission to allow him access to one of his restricted accounts. So let's get her to zoom in that story. We'll be back.
After his arrest last year, the Anti-Corruption Commission froze his bank accounts. Now that he needs to seek medical treatment, former Republican President Edgar Lungu's associate and Ndozo Lodges proprietor Krin Sichamba wants the Lusaka's Magistrate Court to compel the ACC to allow him get some funds from one of his restricted bank accounts. The accused, who through his counsel says his medical review is due, submits that in the absence of his finances, he is unable to seek medical treatment in Dubai, hence the need for SEC to allow him access the funds to facilitate for his treatment. Mr. Sichamba has been appearing before the subordinate court since last year on corruption charges involving the possession of properties reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. He has been jointly charged with his wife, Idora Nambela, and son David, with 130 charges. The trio have pleaded not guilty to the said. On the other side, the Anti-Corruption Commission has objected to the accused application, arguing that the Magistrate Court has no jurisdiction to grant the order to access funds in a restricted account. The state has further submitted that the accused application to seek an order to access funds in a restricted account has been moved under a wrong mode of commencement of Ordinary Section 86 of the SEC Act dictates that the court shall be moved by originating summons, and that the said section as read together with Section 65(7) have not been provided for any other mode of moving the court otherwise by originating summons. Lastly, the state submits that their application can only be heard before the Lusaka's High Court. Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishmanga, who is presiding over the case, has since adjourned it to tomorrow, the 12th of January 2023. This family was recently arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission on alleged corruption involving over 781 million kwacha and more than 10 million United States dollars. The 130 charges that the trio is facing before court are contrary to Section 71(1) of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Well, there you have it. That's a story there pertaining to the courts that was brought to us by Miriam Kaimba, our seasoned court reporter. Interesting stories always come from the court every day, and Madam Kaimba does the needful. Let's get talking on the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, in case you want to also add your perspective on the various stories we have zoomed in this morning. Just also to bring you back to the other story where the All People's Congress Party President, Mr. Nason Musoni, was actually talking about the issue of energy, where he was speaking on the board chairperson who was on one of the local radio stations, confessing that they did mislead the president, that there was not going to be load shedding for this year, and that they take the blame. But Mr. Musoni says they need to go beyond taking the blame and resign on moral grounds, because they misled the head of state. In case you also share the views of Mr. Musoni, you too can give us your perspective on the matter, so that we can get talking. You can equally do the same on our Facebook page, that is Camnet TV Zambia, and be able to give us your thought on these current affairs. Earlier, I was also talking to you about the price of mealie meal, which has continued to escalate in various communities at the district level, depending to which location you are, and various stakeholders have been saying others are buying as high as 200 kwacha, others are buying at 170, 180. The price of a mealie meal was at 130 to 145, but now it has escalated to 180 to 200 kwacha. You too can give us your perspective so that we can understand how much is it costing you to buy that bag of meal in your compound, so that we get to get an understanding at that community level. And so you can share with us your views on the breakfast show here this morning on Camnet TV. Thursday, we dedicate the breakfast show to governance, policy, and politics, and that is our area of focus. Later on the program, I will be having an interview with Savoy Imbwela, who is coming from the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and we will be talking to the topic of discussion, which is seeking to address the energy and agriculture sector issues amidst the high cost of mini meal. We understand that generally prices have been increasing, but we do not know at which how it is affecting you in your various localities. So you do give us that call so that we can get that perspective on the ground from you, our dear viewers. And just now we are going to go to zoom in another interesting story that is pertaining to the running of markets and bus stations, where the United Party for National Development, UPND, Lusaka Province Chairperson Anderson Banda says the party will make judgment against the named political party cadres that have allegedly been terrorizing traders at Mutendele East by demanding market revenue are collected by the markets cooperatives. So, and a named UPND wide official operating from the party office within the market have been allegedly been causing havoc by demanding for the said revenue and are currently under police investigation. So before we zoom in that story, we are going to take this call so that we get to interact with our caller to just get their views. Hello, good morning. Good morning. All right, I think we have a pretty bad line. Do call us back. We'll be able to pick your call. We have a technical challenge.
While local authorities have taken control of revenue collection in most council-run markets, after the directive by President Hakainde Hichilema for this to be done to bring an end of revenue collection by political party cadres, cooperative-run markets have still remained a source of concern. This is the case in many such markets where cooperative market committee positions have been filled by people from the ruling party. Many stakeholders say this gives room for cadreism to continue, as these are said to be misappropriating revenue collected from the markets. The case is similar for Lusaka's Mutendere East Market, where leaders at the Market Cooperative Society have been hounded out of office by named United Party for National Development UPND ward officials who feel they should take over the market operations. In an interview, UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda says that those named in such activities will be punished in accordance with the party's constitution.
We are tired of talking. Our message is loud and clear. Anyone who commits a crime using the name of the party, that person is alone before the law. Anyone who harasses a person in the market, in the bus stations, that person is doing that on his own or her own. He has no blessings from the party. And we also urge the people in the markets and bus stations, in the compounds, to take note of individuals who are committing crimes using the name of the party, to bring their identities to the party structure, so that we can scrutinize them and we also mete out the punishment that we have in our constitution against the members who goes against the party directive. We have enough laws within the constitution of our party that also deals with indisciplined members who wants to do things against the policy direction of the party. So let the community members in the markets, bus stations, compounds also take note of those notorious cadres who are committing crimes in the name of the party, because we've said it clearly that no one will be supported in involving himself in the crimes
Meanwhile, in a phone interview, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says the ministry is working on how local authorities can take charge of such markets or enter into an agreement on where they will come in to manage some operations.
So generally, in a nutshell, we are condemning cadreism up to now. We are not supporting the vice, and anyone who commits crimes in the name of the party, that person must be arrested by police. That person must be visited by the law. Because we believe in sanity, we believe in rule of law. We will not U-turn on what we preached when we were campaigning during opposition time. Now that we are in charge, we will still maintain, in fact even doing it more, so that there is a distinction between the past regime and the present regime.
It is hoped that such interventions will bring the much needed sanity even at cooperative markets. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Well, there you have it. That was a story we were zooming in pertaining to the Market and Bus Stations Act. Various administrations haven't been able to actualize that act by making sure that they do appoint the boards for the markets. We had the Patriotic Front, they continue to dilly-dally over this matter, and we have continued on the same trajectory. However, the Permanent Secretary administration did assure us that they are going to work on this matter, and that's at the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. We hope this is attained. And it was also identified that the cooperative markets have been a route which the cadres are using to take over markets and be able to run them by making sure that the party cadres take charge over the committee that is given the responsibility to run the affairs of the market. Now, our dear viewers have been joined in studio by the National Democratic Congress President Savoy Imbwela, who is going to help me discuss various topical matters, especially in the energy and agricultural sectors. Welcome to the program, Madam.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sako. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. We are happy that you managed to honor our invitation.
Well, you woke me up in the morning, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, well, to just get started, first of all, we just want to, before we get into our conversation, let's just understand on a political party perspective on how you are coping. And this is 2023. What should people expect from the NDC?
Well, first and foremost, we thank God that we made it to 2023. Sadly, we lost some of our friends and relatives in the past year. Beginning of this year, also, it hasn't been easy. You know, getting into the year, you're losing a few people here and there. You know, so we thank God that the few of us, or the many of us that are alive today, are alive today. You know, having said that, I think the party also is doing very well. We did have a New Year's braai. When you asked me that question, I looked at the man behind the cameras because they were home, the youth were home on New Year's Day, and they had the braai at my place. So I think the party started well because, you know, mobilization of any party depends so much on the youth and the women.
And you couldn't share the braai with the media.
Sadly. Sorry about that. We'll organize another one.
We hope so.
I think the IPSA is listening, so we'll make sure that they do another one for the media. Yeah, so we started with that, and the planning, you know, from the youth and what they had to share, I think was very, very encouraging. You know, for me, I think I was very, very happy that we do have these young people in the party thinking the way they're thinking. You know, so I can safely say that the party is doing well and people are very, very focused on achieving quite a number of things. And also we're receiving a lot of people joining the party and everything. So that also is something which is very, very encouraging. You know, yeah, so I can simply say the party is doing well.
On the political side of things, well, we are still on the same. Previously, various opposition political party leaders were of the view that the UPND is working tirelessly to, as tried rather, to create a conducive political environment. Do you still hold the same perspective?
I don't see that, to be honest with you. I don't really see that. I think the UPND needs to do a lot to ensure that they are inclusive and also they are creating a good political environment. You get the point. For me, I think the relationship between the ruling party and the opposition political party, I hate using the word the opposition party, but you know, I think I have no choice so people understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes, but that relationship is still not okay. Of course, there are those individual relationships whereby, you know, okay, this party and this party get along, this one and that one get along, but that deliberate effort to say, let's create a conducive environment where the so-called opposition political parties and the so-called ruling party can come together and work together. I think that has not been created. That is why for me, by the way, you normally see me speak a lot about proportional representation these days. Wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I always bring out the issue of proportional representation because I feel that would be the best way whereby we're going to legitimize, you know, and encourage this good working relationship between the opposition and the ruling party, whereby you say, you know what, enough is enough. We can't have this system whereby everybody is tearing apart and working in different directions. Let's come to the table and work together for the good of the country. Interesting.
Now, talking about creating a conducive political environment, one would argue that in fact, you should you be the happiest, considering that the president did remove the defamation of the president law, considering that most of the charges you are facing are in relation to that law.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. I should be the happiest, and of course I am. I am, but not for the reason that I was one of the people that was facing that charge. You know, but I remember when it was abolished, I called my arresting officer at Central Police, and I was like, "You'll never see me there."
What was the response?
He really laughed. I was like, "Have you heard this law has been abolished? You'll never see me come there." And then he was like, "No. We want you to commit another offense so that we see you. We need to see you back." I was like, "No, you won't see me again." You know, yeah. So just that was just offer, just so on a lighter note. Yeah, but for me, I am very happy, not because I was one of the people facing that offense, so to speak, but just that it's an archaic law. You know, it's an archaic law, and it wasn't progressive at all. And I think I have been, even before I was charged with it, I think I've mentioned on several occasions to say every progressive constitution in this country was taking away sedition from their constitution, because you cannot have a law which makes it as if the president is above the law. You know, because all laws are supposed to be in such a way that all citizens are protected. You know, if it's illegal, okay, to insult or to defame or to do whatever, say certain things to the president, it should be illegal to say those things to Patrick Soko. It should be illegal to say them to me. You know, if you're going to have a law whereby you can't say certain things to the president, but you can say it to other people, then it's not true that the principle of everyone being equal before the law is true, so to speak. You know, so everyone should be protected by the Constitution. It doesn't matter whether you're a president, you're a public or whether a private citizen. Everyone should be protected. I know how to complain to say, if you look at social media, for example, in the past 1 year, 1+ year over the UPND, the discourse on social media has gone very bad. You know, this whole thing of insulting, by the way, people think Zambian politics have always been like that. No, you know, there have been, of course, few people here and there that use bad language and everything. It hasn't always been like that. It has been like that in the past 1.5 years of the UPND. You know, the so-called praise singers, they don't want people to speak. They're so intolerant, you know. So they created that environment. And I used to say, you know, this environment you're creating, it's going to affect everyone. I personally wrote a letter to the president. You know, I wrote a letter to the president, which I copied to the various embassies. And I said this insulting culture will affect all of us, you know, because we can't allow a situation whereby praise singers are able to insult us, they're able to say whatever, and then when we say things which are not even half of what they say, or even a quarter of what they say, and then we're accused of insulting, you get the point, yes. Because we knew that the president was protected by a law, not to insult him or to do certain things, you know, but the environment that the UPND has created, I think for me is very, very toxic, and it's still existing. And for me, I feel that the president should instruct the IG, because that's how, sadly, that's how we're operating. The IG on his own should sort out that problem. But since it's not being sorted out, the president should instruct the IG to ensure that we do have a good working environment or a political environment on social media. There are many countries that have managed to do that, because if you look at our phones are easily identified from the service providers. You know, and for me also, if there's a time when you can really appreciate Zambia police, it's going to do with the cyber law. You know, they are so good when it comes to getting people, you know, using their phones and IP addresses and everything. But they only do so when it's a president who's affected. If it's an ordinary person like myself, they just let it be, and it shouldn't be like that. So people need to be protected. Let's make social media a good space to operate on, not whereby when people, for example, if people are watching me live right now, from the Camnet TV or within my page, wherever, you'll be shocked the kind of things they'll be saying in the name of being praise singers, you know. Before you even say a word to them, they just look at me, okay, it's Ahoy, definitely. What she'll say won't be, maybe to them, whatever she'll say, it won't be good for the ruling party, whatever it is. And they'll start insulting. You get the point. They say anybody else from the opposition, before they even say a word, to them, this is somebody from the opposition. Whatever they will say is not good for us. I won't like it, and they start that. So we can't have a situation like that. Interesting views you bring out there. Now, talking about the aspect of social media. Now that you did touch on it, how does that affect especially women participation in politics? Because I understand there are women like yourselves and others like the vice president herself. Who are able to endure insults, criticism, and everything, but we see this social media being used to attack women and other vulnerable groups, and that speaks to responsible use of social media. But as a country, how can we demonstrate seriousness to ensure that even as we discuss these issues on social media, probably we address pertinent issues, because people would rather get excited watching nude videos as opposed to discussing the data structuring. Exactly. But how can we work on that aspect as a country? We need to do a lot of things, really. We need to do a lot of things, and I think there has to be that deliberate effort, you know, to do that. And I think also government are using certain structures, certain ministries. They can deliberately do certain things. You get the point. And also maybe using competitions, you know, but when people, let's say, glue to a certain page to more or less like participate in certain things, maybe they win certain things, whatever it is, you know, things like that. I think that can make it possible, you know, for people to more or less like divert their attention to certain things which are more meaningful. You know, people should remember, because I'm sure maybe somebody watching may even say, I thought about government. Why do you have to put everything in government? No, people don't realize actually the roles of government, you know. When you see that a society is going in a certain direction, as government actually should come in and redirect, you know, to say, okay, in the next few years, this will be a problem. I've mentioned before to say, I normally get concerned, for example, when I'm on social media. I do follow a lot of international pages and individuals, you know, Americans, Nigerians, and everything. And sometimes you find that maybe somebody from America has posted something. Even after 2 days, there'll be maybe 10,000 likes, you know, 2,000 comments and everything. And sometimes it's a Zambian who has posted something, and maybe there'll be 30,000 likes and maybe 10,000 comments. And I'm thinking, this is Zambia, and Zambia are 18 million, you know, people. Nigeria has got 250 million people. You get the point. America, it has all that population first and foremost, and then the rest of the world that listen to them. You get the point. So if an American is going to have 10,000 likes and a Zambian, I'm talking about a celebrity in the US. Yes. And then a celebrity in Zambia has 30,000 likes. I'm like, there's something wrong with this country. You get the point. Yeah. People are so much on social media. You know, whereas in other countries, they use social media, but they're out there working and everything. I think our young people are too much on social media. And sadly, on social media, they're doing the wrong stuff. You know, that is why, again, when you go to serious pages, even in this country, serious pages in terms of likes and engagements when it comes to talking and everything, it's less. But those pages whereby they talk, sorry, I was about to say rubbish, right? The pages where they talk a lot of funny stuff, you find there'll be a lot of people there. You get the point. So
qualifying that term to say Zambians play too much.
Yes,
that's another trending caption as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. So our young people, really, they are just there. You know, there's one member of my family who, when I complain about the insulting culture that the country has developed, you know, when I complain about that, she likes to tell me to say that if you compare the PF and the UPND, for example, maybe the PF youth were out there getting contracts and making money and everything. The UPND, because they maybe they've not been empowered, so their frustration, you know, they're taking it on social media. They're out there just insulting people and everything. You know, others are just there, you know, just having fun and saying whatever it is that they need to say. So for me also, there's some truth in that. You know, when people are busy, they won't be on social media all day. You know, Patrick could be at Camnet TV working. You're not going to be on social media every day. You get the point. The people that really have things to do are not really on social media every day. So when you look at the young people that we have on social media every day, insulting people, doing whatever, I think it's something that the government actually needs to take keen interest in and really do something about it. Something needs to be done. Otherwise, what we are seeing in social media right now shows a root cause of something which is big and dangerous for the country.
We have not discussed with you regarding the topical matter in the country that's pertaining to the energy crisis that we are facing, where we are now being subjected to 12 hours of load shedding. And we want to pick on the perspective of the NDC party on this matter. What is your take on this energy crisis we are in as a country?
Well, it's very, very sad that we are at this level to begin with. We were promised by the UPND that this thing was going to stop. And then the president also confirmed at some point that they have ended load shedding within a year. You know, next thing, load shedding, boom, you know. and for me also, at the time I would have load shedding at home, for example, I would always call the board, the chairperson for ZESCO, the Mr. Vixen Kube, because I'd hear him on TV, no, there's no more load shedding. So that person give him a call. I was like, my chairman, right now my house has been load shedded. And then he'll be like, no, that's not load shedding. I'm sure there's a problem with this and that and that. And of course, I'd call this and power will be restored and everything. Later on, you know, the consistency in it, you know, it just couldn't be denied, you know, until later on. Now, of course, there's this, people had to agree to say load shedding really is back. You know, so you can tell to say, maybe the effort was there, maybe the desire was there. I don't know if it's a miscalculation or whatever it is, you know. So for me also, it gives me that feeling to say, number one, the UPND don't have that hold on what it is that is going on. You get the point?
Yes.
And for me also, the issue of firing professionals, you know, at the expense of the country. When the UPND came in, I think they fired too many people at once. You know, they got these directors that knew what they were doing, replaced them to me with people that are incompetent, as we are seeing right now. ZESCO was one of them. I think we saw about, was that 12 or 19 directors at ZESCO being fired at once. That was very dangerous. You know, that was very, very dangerous. So the people who came in, to me, I'm asking now, are they competent? You know, are they competent enough to do their job? So what the UPND should have done was just allow, you know, that natural, that natural progression, for lack of a better word, whereby you come in as new people. Yes, you want to maybe to remove certain people because of all sorts of reasons and put in your people. You do it gradually. You know, there are people whereby no matter which party is in power, they are still needed because of their expertise. Unless they're telling me that people, the PF just appointed people that were there because also just wanted them to be there. You get the point. So even them, they're putting their people for the sake of being there. You know, so for me, what is happening at ZESCO it's only because people are feeling it, their lights are going and everything, so they feel the impact. But it's exactly what is happening in almost all ministries in the country right now. A lot of professionals have been taken away, and been replaced by the so-called new guys from the UPND. And are they competent with what it is that they're doing? Are they competent at their job? For me, sadly, they seem not to be. Because if people were competent, if they knew what they were doing, we would not get to this level where we're at right now. And also what is more concerning are the various statements, coming out from, we saw what Zesco said, we saw what the president said, and then so this back and forth, I think.
And Zesco did admit that they misled the president. I think it should be the board chairperson.
Yes.
Did admit to say they misled the president when they said they informed him that there was not going to be load shedding. But what does that speak in terms of aspect of leadership as well as issues pertaining to morality?
Yes, and for me also, it's very magnanimous of them to actually accept that. And I think the Zesco board chairperson, he's a very nice person. No one even may terrorize him. When electricity goes in my house, I call him and I terrorize him. And like, there's no electricity in my house, So he's magnanimous enough to accept to say, okay, this is a problem that we have caused and everything. But for me, like I've said, they did well to do that. But it's more than that. For me, it's the entire government. It's a UPND. It's a president himself. I'll put it on him as the head of a government. The head of state, to say they should have known better. They should have. Worked at this better. For me, I think they put politics above administration. They put what is this? Trying to clear the system above having the competent people doing their job at Zesco, and they shouldn't even they shouldn't even be ashamed. If it means calling anybody that they fired, who they think, okay, if this person was here, this would have been different. They shouldn't even be ashamed. Let them go ahead and call this person or that person and say this is what is going on. I'll be very honest with you, Mr. Soko. If you look at PF, for example, when it came to Zesco, I think to me what was really coming out was that the PF was really abusing Zesco when it comes maybe to resources. Okay, we saw a lot of people being on the Zesco payroll from what we were taught. Yes. There were people that were working maybe, let's say, at the PF secretariat or on the Zesco payroll, cadres, we saw even when the time they produced the list, you say a lot of people were employed by Zesco and everything. And we had these horrible stories where we're hearing, even when it's campaign time, politicians just go into Zesco, get the money and everything. So for me, the biggest problem that we had with Zesco under PF was the fact that they were bleeding it dry when it comes to money. You get the point. Zesco makes money and they're just getting. So it was that cash cow that the PF was using so much for their political activities. But in terms of competence, you get the point. In terms of competence, in terms of what people were doing there, I think they knew what they were doing. But the money which was there, I think, was really being misused. But right now, I think the current team that we have at Zesco, in my opinion, trust me, they don't know what they're doing. And if this government does not just sit back and say, you know what, guys, let's just do what's right by the country, let's call the right people to come and help us and do whatever, we're going to be in a very, very serious problem.
Interesting. Well, in case you are just joining us, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition, governance and policy as well as politics. And my guest today is the NDC President, Savoy Imbwela. We are discussing issues in the energy and agriculture sectors as well as other topical matters. In case you want to join us, you can do so by giving us a call on the number that is on your screen, and we can get interacting by you asking your questions or giving us your views. You can equally do the same by leaving us a message on our Facebook page, and that is Camnet TV Zambia, and we can get the conversation going. And now going forward with our conversation, I now want to get your direct response on this to this question, which is should we prioritize export over the local market? Because the president and his administration are adamant about cutting export because they feel exports are vital and that they also have to lead to job creation. Whether there's that direct correlation, that I do not know. But let's pick this call before you respond to my question. we've lost that call. Okay, so you have to respond to this question. I was asking categorical on the aspect of the export. Do we have to prioritize export, or we need to satisfy the domestic demand?
We need to satisfy the domestic demand before we export. You know, you export excess. You don't export the very basics that your people need. So when we talk about job creation, that export creates jobs, it's the other way around. You know, because of no power, we have seen a lot of saloons right now. You know, they are not working. A lot of barber shops. You know, the welders, and you can't even tell them to say no. Use a generator. Do whatever. Business is low. You know, so they can't actually sustain a business where they're doing that. The big saloons, the big barber shops, of course, they are doing that. But the people in the small markets, go to Challenge Market right now, go to Kawata Market, go to all these places, you know, it's such a sad state of affairs, you know, and that is why, for me, it's very, very important that the government, first and foremost, looks at what their own people need. A good example is Mr. Proud. I think everybody knows Mr. Proud. Whenever we are on TV and radio, especially as opposition, he calls in. You know, just the other day I was on radio, is it last month?
Yes.
He was one of the people that called in telling us that things are very okay, you know, but thank God, just is it last week or so, he shared that video where now he's boiling his tea using his peppers, you know, saying he can't even afford charcoal, and then he had this this shaving machine from his barber shop, saying the barber shop is even closed, you know. This is a person, one of the biggest UPND cadres that there is, you know, we can see from the radios, and for him to even be honored by the president. He was honored, is it, Independence Day and everything, you know, because of that role that he has played as a UPND cadre. But this is the person who has just come out in the open to say, this is what is going on. But if you look at the video again, it's sad that he's saying, he's talking to Mr. Mapani, the Minister of Energy, and others, to say, buy me a generator, buy me whatever, because there's no this. That's not the solution. Even if anybody was to buy him a genset and whatever, it will just be him. So the rest of the community will be going through what they're going through, you know, and then you still come out on TV and radio and tell us that things are okay because there's a genset. So let him go through what everybody else is going through. So anybody who's going to buy him a genset will be making a very big mistake, you know. The solution there is to ensure that everybody in that area has a lasting solution to the energy crisis, to the power crisis that they're facing. So to cut the long story short, the businesses in this country have been adversely affected because of the power crisis, and they can't tell us that as they export, then they're creating jobs. No, exports by any at any given chance, they're normally good. They're the best to do for the country. But when you have excess, you know, so that you have that forex and everything.
Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show.
Yes, morning, sir.
Yes. Your name and where you are calling us from?
Yes, this is Mr. Chanda calling from Shongola.
Mr. Chanda, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment on the topic that I don't know that your person
Yes.
First and foremost, I just wanted to share my experience with the way the project when she's coming out, especially on the issue of social media. She's trying to compare to other especially when it comes to the youth, the way they are using the social media. I think for one thing, I think she has to realize that she's one of those persons that has used social media for a long time. And I think she has shown a bad picture, especially when it comes to women when it comes to social media. So I think on the issue of social media, the last person to think to comment on that issue. There's also the issue of so media fire the technocrats, especially from the small TV. Remember very well that the time when the PF was in government, the secretary general was, she got the report where she was saying what did I explain in the small TV. At least you have to get the PF. And she knows that fact. So what they expect to do is and they give a record to show that most of those people that were in the small TV, some of them were actually related to the PF, but they don't have a very complicated, especially when it comes to councils, and these other departments, most of them were competing the leader proper qualifications, and this company has come to ensure that many of those people should be put aside so that people should be in place. So those were my comments. Second on social media, should be the last person to comment on social media because here that view that some a lot of people on social media. So on that issue, I think those are my takes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chanda. There, Mr. Chanda is making allegations against you. You can give you that perspective in case you want to wind up first of all on that aspect of exports you were bringing out.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can respond to him as well.
Okay, so I was saying it's important to export excess because when you export, you have the forex, the much needed forex in the country, but you cannot export that which you need. You know, as simple as that. So I'll end by saying that. Then, Mr. Chanda, first and foremost, you've got no right to tell me I'm the last person or the first person or the middle person to say whatever. You get the point?
Yes.
People don't understand what an insult is. I'm a person that has studied law myself. You get the point? So I know that if I'm going to insult anybody, I'll be taken to court. You know? And using my social media platform, I think I have not been insulting anybody. You know? Of course, there are people, like I've said, you know, when it comes to the intolerance of the so-called praise singers. Maybe he's one of the, from what he's saying, he could be one of the praise singers. And he seems to have followed me a lot. You get the point, right? Even the things I've said before, the things I've done, it seems to really, really follow me. So he could be one of the praise singers. I am sometimes intolerant to praise singers. On my page, sometimes I even tell them, that's a fact. You can't come to my page and say ABCD. So I have this thing of blocking, you know, even my admins. There are many people that we have to block on a daily basis because they are so intolerant. But when it comes to insult, say I've used the social media to insult people. If I've use people to insult people, don't take me to court. And if really I did it, then they'll win the case. You get the point? Because if you look at even the cases which I've been taken to court for example, people need to understand that even the defamation of the president, they couldn't even prove anything just at indictment level at the police. They kept on changing. The first time I went to the police, they were saying, no, defamation. They changed it, no, to hate speech. I went back. You know, they've been given a one and caution statement. You go back, they withdraw that, and they give you something else. Look at even the case also which I am in court right now with Mr. Hamasaka. You know, because they tried so much to get me arrested for the president one. They couldn't do that. They brought in the Hamasaka case. The Hamasaka case, if people followed it, and in fact, you, the media, should be coming to court every time I'm appearing.
We have our reporter there. I think we should give her your schedule. Please.
So on the 16th, okay, the judge, the magistrate had to even complain to say, can you stop changing the indictment? So she didn't mention the dates to say, on the 9th, they took a different case to court to say, I've been charged for this. On the 12th, they changed. The last time we appeared last week, they changed again. So they keep on changing because...
We'll follow it up so that we get the root of that case as well.
Yeah.
Let's have this call. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Fine, and how are you, sir? Your name and where you're calling us from?
That was my name, calling from Lusaka in Garden Copper.
All right. You can go ahead for your contribution, sir.
Yes. I want to contribute towards this. In most cases, when we see these opposition leaders talking on TV, but one thing they are forgetting is that they are talking or they're speaking to Zambians who are mature, who are educated. Now, in most cases, when they're just there to condemn age. One thing they should realize is that Zambians, we know everything. They always talk bad side of UTND. They don't talk about good side of UTND. UTND has done a lot of good things that they don't mention, but us, ordinary Zambians, we don't see them. We let's talk of free education, those opposition, they don't even talk about it. Let's talk of CPF, which was not even going in the enforcement. They don't talk about it. Let's talk about employment. And the reason, even these junkies that were left by TF, they are getting arrested, immediately searching themselves. Because they always talk about it, the high cost of living, talk of electricity. Let me tell you, me, I stay in Garden compound, and I buy new milk in Garden. In TF, we used to buy raw milk at the 185. But now, we are buying roller mill at 220. Where is cost of living? In serious, we used to move us from garden to town. It was 12 kwacha. Now this time, the move us from garden to town is 14 kwacha, a difference of 2 kwacha. So we are seeing these things. And now then we just talk, you know, okay, this is what, well, no, you can tell the cost of living. Look at this road shading, this thing, glasses. As I'm speaking, we have power in that. And people are doing the wrong things, and are working. In 6 hours, I can't student coming at night. Now, then they just think, oh, no, because I'm left. No, look, you should understand that if you are in opposition, tell them the truth. But they can not show you when the right time comes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comment. Remember, democracy is about tolerating the views that you do not like from someone you might not like, and we respect your opinion. But however, on load shedding, we won't allow you to mislead the people. It is still 12 hours of load shedding, in that it is just in intervals of 6 hours, so there's no change on that. But it is still, until ZESCO give us the official position, will be communicated equally, even here at Camnet TV, because we are mandated to inform the people the truth. You can continue, Madam.
I'm very shocked. You know, people like him, the way he has commented, for me, I normally restrict myself from actually even commenting, because I will let the people comment themselves wherever they are. You know, people think that as opposition, you have to come on TV, radio, and talk against the president and the UPND and whatever, you know, the current government and everything. We don't need to do that. We don't need to convince anybody about anything. They're going through it themselves. We're saying roller mill is now cheaper than it was in the PF. Well, the people that are buying the milling mill out there, so it's them to judge, not me. They get the point. The issues of the buses talked about, whatever. CDF, it's the people to judge, not me. The government themselves did come out, that was already by November, December, saying the dissipation of CDF was, I think, at 4% or so, less than 10%. So meaning that a lot of money has not even come out. So this thing of pronouncements versus implementation is something that for us as people in the opposition are very critical about. When the government says something, we need to make sure that they have done what they have said. That's our job. You get the point. In the civil society where I was, you know, these NGOs and everything, before I got into politics, there's what they would call budget tracking. It's actually one of the areas, I think, up to now, where even donors would give NGOs a lot of money to do budget tracking. When the government says we're going to give 100 million kwacha to health centers in the next, in this 2023 budget, for example, the NGOs have to be there and would be there with the communities. And that's what the job I was doing. Would be there at Lufanyama Hospital, for example, with a health team in Lufanyama, asking the people how much money was allocated here. We show them, we go together, we train them like that. So the communities would do those things themselves, budget tracking. So if I was doing that at community level, what of now when I'm a politician? That's my job. If the government says we're going to give so much money, they need to do that. So the government did say, CDF, we're going to give the 25.7 million kwacha to the constituencies. Have they done that? You know, if they have, what really is on the ground? I was talking to MP Kambita, Honorable Kambita, just last week Solwezi East, where I was talking about how CDF is working, blah, 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 and everything. That is on social media. And I asked him to say, Honorable, are you sure this is what has gone on in your community? Because the rest of the country, I mean, so many constituencies at various times asking people and everything, there's no CDF. People have given in their project proposals and everything. The money is not coming out. And they said, yes, we've completely done that and we're waiting for the 2023 allocation. Honestly, I think it's the only constituency, if what he said was true, that is really happening. And trust me, I'm going to go to Solwezi East and I'm going to do some monitoring there. I'll really go there just to see if what the MP said is exactly what is on the ground. You get the point? So the issue of CDF, my friend, the issue of CDF is a total failure. And that is why and these are the cardinal questions that people need to ask. They allocated 25.7 million kwacha in the SOCO 2022 budget, according to them. not much was disbursed. Now they said it's 28 million in 2023.
Yes, 28.3 million.
So people should ask themselves, are they giving them a different 28 million or that 25 they're topping up? That's what people don't know. So it's from the 25 then they top up a 3 million question. You get the point? So these are the things that we should go and ask and then put out to the people to know what is going on. Then last, even free education.
Before we come to free education, someone wants to also interact with us. Let's just pick this. You are through to the program. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from? So where is he?
Good morning. How are you? Okay, thank you so much.
Actually, when we take democracy about expressing our opinions and views, but like some scholars, like some people already, when someone says they know, the right to do that, I that is not wrong. People find that none of this much is going to turn around and fix it, that they are doing what they do, like what they are, that the mother says this about 295, not good. So this comes to be for I don't know, like when they use that, what you are creating a people are so how are we going to come out of this guy? So you're not going to build another plan. They already spoke of the nuclear plant, or another item party is able to supply it. How is it going to be another power plant is able to supply it? You just say people supplying developers policy, and this other one is supplying the developers policy. I think we're taking a position on the back. So for you, Madam Savoy, so you are able to take the state, you have to put it in another power plant, whether India or Ireland, and tomorrow can it and someone has something as well, I feel like they are taking a contribution to another power now. So how can you take to another power plant? And what can you afford Algeria, or can you afford to make that amount of money? So you have to mind yourself, you bring your little mind there to take that money. So
There you have it. The line was pretty bad there, but it is due to our technical. And I would have loved to take more calls, but I think with that kind of reception, we'll proceed without those calls. But I think stressingly, you did manage to pick one or two things from what he was saying. You were about to get to the aspect of free education based on the previous caller's perspective. Then he has also added some of his views there. So you can combine the two as response to them.
Okay. Yeah, so when issues, talking about CDF, and I've liked also what the last caller just said, you know, you can't stress certain things when it's people themselves that are going through them. You get the point. So when it comes to CDF, you know, when the government says we have started free education and everything, do a bit of monitoring. I wonder why people are so lazy to just leave their homes and go to the schools. For example, go to any government school right now. You find that there are about 150 children in one class. 200 children. The worst case I've heard is about 250 children in one class. You know, so the teachers are saying that they're not even marking the children anymore. So what they're doing is that when children are write their tests, their exercises, especially mathematics, they tell them to exchange books. They exchange and then they mark themselves. So there's no that contact between a teacher and pupil anymore. And these are children in grade 1. You go to I give an example just near Shantumbu Basic. You know. Grade 1 class, 160 children. Grade 2 class, 160 children. No contact between the learner, you know, and the teacher, you know. So you can't have that. So this free education, to me, it's more dangerous, you know, than it was before. Because trust me, as a person that works with children and in schools, even before we had a problem with our education system, especially in rural areas, it was difficult for children to learn. You know, when I go to most of the rural parts of Zambia where they don't speak Nyanja and Bemba, for example, I normally get an interpreter. It's well like, I'll give you an example of Solwezi itself. I work so much in Solwezi. So I go to places like Kiafukuma school there, you know, I go to Mushtala, you know, Solwezi, but all those places, you find that I am there. You know, you find that I'll be talking to a grade 10 class, 11, sometimes in grade 12. I need an interpreter. You get the point? They can't speak English. So already we had that problem. So with free education, we should have ensured that there's a free access and also improvement of the education system. So the things that had gone wrong, for example, under the PF, we correct them. But now the problem has been worsened. That's why the issue is.
But there have been of the view that it's better children are in school than in the street. Then they have also advanced the perspective that CDF can be utilized to construct more classrooms as well as purchase more desks.
That is what I'm saying. What they're saying here, for example, and what is happening are two different things, you know. And I wonder why sometimes you find that even cadres or pressing or whatever even defend these things. You get the point. I'll be on TV and radio and people defend it. But you find the president himself, for example, comes out and says, we have been working and saying whatever, but what we say, the system is failing to assimilate. You get the point. The president himself will accept, you know. We saw just, is it yesterday or the other day in the newspaper headline where we mentioned to say, we promise better, I think one of the PSs, we promise better CDF implementation 2023. You get the point? So the technocrats themselves, the politicians are admitting certain things, because when the problem is too much, they fail to pretend. They come out and they tell you to say, okay, you know what, we're going to do better next year. But you find that the cadres, for the sake of defending their party, whatever it is, they keep on defending things which are indefensible, you know. Issues of CDF, trust me, CDF, the money is just not coming out. And I've seen, for example, because I follow these things. Right now, as we speak, now they're calling for projects. You know that? They're calling for projects for 2023 for people to give them now project proposals for 2023. But the money, the people that put in projects for 2022, the money hasn't even been dispersed. You know? So where is the 2022 money? People need to keep on asking, should ask those questions. Where is the 2022 money? You know, so getting back now to the other issues that the last caller brought out. Like you said, you know, the line was so bad, so definitely we missed out maybe quite a number of things. But for me, the most important thing that I'll talk about is the issue that when people are going through some things, you can't take that away from them. They're going to experience it themselves. So I'm happy that he brought out some of the things, the challenges which are happening out there. You know, it's not about me, it's not about anybody else to convince people to say, no, this is going on. This is... You can't do that. You know, you can't do that. They are feeling it themselves. They go into a shop and they go and find that millimeter has been increased. They go to this. That's how it is. And for me, also, the last point I'd like to give is the issue of the investment which you talked about. I totally agree with that. Where we are right now, we should invest not only in hydro energy but also in solar energy, for example. When you go to developed countries, it's so shocking. Maybe you enter the country, find that there are a lot of glass panels. You know, these buildings look very nice. They are glass all over. And they'll tell you to say, it's not about the beauty of the building, that's solar energy.
Yes.
You know, so they're trapping the solar energy and that's what they're using. And these are countries in Europe which don't even have so much sun. And in Zambia, we have a lot of sun and we are failing to trap this much energy that we have. I remember there was a time we went to Japan and we found there's this tent. I've forgotten the name they call it and everything. But it was like a huge tent and there were plants in it. And there are all these pipes and everything. So they're explaining to us to say, where we are here, there's no sun. So all these pipes you're seeing and everything, we're trapping the little energy from the sun just to ensure that these crops grow. So without that, those crops can't even grow. You get the point? So these are the things that people that don't even have enough sun have to go through out there. Their buildings are full of glass. Where they have to grow crops, they have to trap the sun and make tents and do whatever just to have that. You know, but in Zambia, you find that you have all that, but you're not investing in the right things. So right now in Zambia, we have to invest in the hydro energy and, of course, in the solar energy, because we do have so much sun whereby before you know it, you don't even need the hydro energy anymore. Even that the demand, you know, or let me just say the stress that we're putting on power should not even be there. The entire Southern African region, we always boast of having over 40% of water in the entire Southern African region. What does that benefit us apart from just the number? You know, sometimes I normally wonder what would happen if the water we have in Zambia was in South Africa, for example. All of us wouldn't even have load shedding. Because I've seen some people sometimes even say, I think South Africa there's load shedding. Look at South Africa doesn't have the water we have. You know, South Africa, I think just drinking water is not enough. And yet South Africa is a country that has even put the right to water in their constitution. It's written how many gallons of water a person needs. How many gallons of water a person is supposed to have every month. You get the point. And yet just drinking water, sometimes you have to import water. Drinking water from Lesotho, that's how much less water they don't have. So when they're going to have an energy crisis there, it's because they don't have that. And then there we are in Zambia comparing ourselves to say, these people, even them, they're good. No, for us, right now, this energy crisis that we have in the entire Southern African region, if we had invested in the right things, and if we keep on investing in the right things, so it's not too late, in the next few years, trust me, when there's a crisis in the Southern African region, it's going to be to our benefit. You know, unlike now, whereby there's a crisis and you want to export, and they export the very little that you yourselves are supposed to consume. So it shouldn't be like that at all. So investment, investment, investment. And as we invest not only in hydro energy, but also solar energy and other alternatives, alternative kinds of energy.
As you wind up our discussion, I know time is on our side, but we did tackle quite a number of issues, and I couldn't even move to my other side, which was the agriculture sector. For this, I'll just allow you one question. Okay. That's how we should administer the comprehensive agriculture support program, which is now replacing the FISIP, according to them. We understand the pitfalls for the 2022-2023 season. Now, the 2023 to 2024 season, how should we manage this issue as a country? And as we talk about that, just wind up on the aspect of minimum prices, because topically in the country, us as the media, we've been reporting that prices of the commodity have been increasing, and that's the feedback we're getting from the residents we're interacting with in various localities.
Well, definitely, prices of meat meal are increasing. So for me to have a caller calling to say prices are going down for meat meal, I don't even know what to say. You get the point. I buy meat meal myself every month in my house. Meat meal is going up, you know, to the point where I think the last meat meal, the bag I bought it at 205. You know, so that's exactly what is going on. So this, for me, that's the situation that almost everybody out there is going through. If people are getting cheaper meat meal elsewhere, they should tell us how to go and buy, you know, from there. Then coming to the issue of FISIP and the comprehensive agriculture, you know, when it's not broken, don't fix it, you know. FISIP, if it had the challenges which the UPND thought they could improve on, they should have done that, not bringing entire different things. We saw for the first time that people now could not even have complete bags of fertilizer, for example. They were sharing, you know. And they're saying, no, they should not have shared, they should have given to a few people. And, you know, the explanations which just do not make sense. But the people themselves, you know, we live in these communities where people are so united. You know, so you find that the cooperative has, let's say, 90 people, they give them 20 bags of fertilizer. Themselves are saying, no, we can't. Why should 20 of us get? Let's share. So that's why the way sharing came in. So now we have this MEDA kind of thing. Under me, I call them the MEDA government. You know, so the MEDA government now created this scenario whereby people had to start sharing fertilizer. So with that, it means that there will be less minimum next year. So the prices we're seeing right now will be worse next year. There will be a huge crisis next year. And funny enough, if you look at government yet again, we saw the Minister of Agriculture say, no, based on what we have already in stock, there won't be a crisis next year. We have enough stock. We saw the DMMU coordinator coming out to say there'll be a problem next year. Same government. You know, they keep on giving us all these two stories here. This person says this, the other person says the other thing. So for me, next year will be a problem. And then coupled with that is the issue of IMF. People shouldn't forget that with the IMF and World Bank, they always come all these conditionalities. And they have to reduce their spending on agriculture. You know, they're spending on these subsidies to do with what they're doing, the fertilizer, the seed, and all those things. So to me, if we're not careful, next year will actually even be worse than it is this year. So if the UPND was really going to work on it, and we have a president who's a farmer, by the way, I would want a situation whereby the distribution of the farming inputs is done timely, and then people are given enough, you know. And yet again, if we handle agriculture well, Zambia again can be that food basket We have the stability. We are land linked. You know, a long time ago we used to say we are landlocked. We are land linked, meaning that we can feed the people around here. We have water, you know. We do have this water that we just boast about and they're not using it, putting it to good use, you know. So why not do all these things? There was a time when we started the project on winter maize and everything. They stopped it. Well, it didn't work because the implementation yet again was bad. You should have gone back to the drawing board and said, what did we do wrong? There are places in this country whereby they are near water. If you're going to make an agricultural project at a place whereby it's dry, you start now pumping, you know, you make the cost very expensive. Definitely be very expensive for you. But if you're going to take such projects to places which are closer to water, so that it's easy for you to do the agriculture, it's going to be easy. So for me, I think the project for winter maize, for example, the implementation here and there was not okay. But sometimes government, when it does a mistake, they never go back and say, let's fix it. You know, I'll give you a small example of the Chinese, for example. The Chinese had this program of the Great Leap Forward. They said in the next few years, let's do ABCD. When they had the Great Leap Forward, their first attempt was a failure, you know. But the Chinese, being who they are, they went back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we had this great plan for the country, but we made a mistake here and there, so how do we fix it? When they went back, they re-strategized, and today China is where it is, because they said, from where we are, we need to leap, you know. I think Zambia also is a country whereby we need that great leap forward. What exactly do we need to do to move from where we are now to just leap? Among the things that we are supposed to do, invest in energy, invest in agriculture, invest in education. Not this free education we're seeing, which is, you know, children are sitting on the floor, others are sitting outside, you know, the teacher-learner contact is not there. You can't have that. You know, this is our country. And for me, by the way, no wonder yet again I talk about proportional representation, because I don't want people to look at politics in this country as a them and us, ruling and opposition, because we are on the same side of development. All of us, even when we sit here, we say what we want to say. We say it for the sake of development of this country, nothing else.
Thank you for making it to the program.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Interesting. Well, our dear viewers, we've come to the end of the program, and I've been hosting Madam Savoy Imbwela, the NDC president, and together we've been discussing pertinent issues in the agriculture and energy sectors. Do join us tomorrow with Prudence Jota as she gives you a business breakfast on the business aspect. So let's until next week when Shalon Kalimbula and myself come back on Wednesday on the aspect of governance, politics and policy. This has been Patrick Soko. Keep it on Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.